My friends, as your former president and a citizen of this great land, I find that after watching the disease that has been destroying our country, I refer now not to the pandemic virus, but to that orange plague that has occupied our White House for far too long, I can no longer sit idly by and run the risk of becoming one who, by his inaction, becomes part of the problem. Ladies and gentlemen, my hat is in the ring. The fight is on and I'm stripped to the buff. Now, I don't want you good people to think I've turned myself into a nudist. I simply sit here wearing nothing but the naked political truth. Isn't it better to nominate a man who's used to being at the heart of government than a pussy-footed flub-dub like Trump? Our own party leaders didn't realize that I held the Republican Party together and in power only because I insisted on a steady advance and dragged them along with me. Well, now that advance has been stopped. The party and the country are in need of good leadership, and I want to go back in the White House and use the knife and the needle and cut out the disease. Why, if Trump stays in there, he's liable to be more dangerous to the patient than to the disease. Remember how I was accused and criticized when I pushed through the Reclamation Act of 1902? What a hullabaloo from the money boys. Public land giveaway, they tried to call it. And how they howled about the Pure Food and Drug Act. Screamed when I stopped the panic of 1907 by executive action. When I first took office, the Sherman Antitrust Act was a dead letter. I took it up for the first time and had it enforced. But it's weak. Needs amending, needs continued administrative action. Lawsuits against the big trusts are about as practical as a return to the flintlocks of Washington's Continental Army. By the time I left office, I had quadrupled the forest reserves. 5 national parks, 4 big game refuges, 51 bird reservations. Of course, those big money boys fought me. But I have about as little use for them as I do for the man who's always declaiming in favor of an 8-hour day for himself and thinks nothing at all of a 16-hour day for his wife. You remember, I created a Department of Forestry at the cabinet level to see that all our promises of conservation were kept. Well, now Mr. Trump has welched on the promise. He prefers to ride with the real estate manipulators, the lumber combines, and the oil barons. The cutthroats who would defile our natural heritage for personal gain. Now, I've heard that Mr. Trump said he doesn't want to fight me for the nomination, but that even a rat will fight when cornered. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, I have nothing whatsoever to add to that. But I will say this, and that is that Mr. Trump, in the name of our children, and our children's children, must be pulled from the golden saddle. Conservation means development as much as it means protection. That farmer is a poor creature who skins the land and leaves it worthless to his children. The farmer is a good farmer who, having enabled the land to provide for himself and the education of his children, leaves it to them a little better than he found it himself. I believe the same is true of a nation. We are honor-bound to lead by example. Oh, I can't deny there are politicians who will promise anything to the people, because there are always people who will cheerfully support anyone who promises them an immediate millennium. Well, not only should such politicians be regarded as dishonest and infamous, but the people who are hoodwinked should share the blame. It's a dreadful thing, dreadful, that public sentiment should condone misconduct in a public man. Not that this excuses the public man, if by his misconduct he still further degrades the public. Remember, in the last resort, no material prosperity, no business acumen, no intellectual development of any kind can atone in the life of a nation for a lack of the basic fundamental principles of courage, honesty, and common sense. Mr. Trump has laid these basic qualities aside, and he must go. And so it seems must I. Now remember, don't just sit back and watch. Our democracy is too important for that. We need all the votes we can get. Come and see me in the White House. I think.